Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the Kickback Cafe, the show where we kick back, relax, and talk about anything but Disney. And we are in the midst of Hey Arnold!
Month.
I don't think we've perfected it, Dragon, but we're workshopping it. So, this is the penultimate installment of Hey Arnold Month, folks. We are talking about the Journal. We are actually recording a commentary podcast for the Journal. So, folks, what you'll want to do is you'll want to get your copies of the Journal either on DVD or, in various streaming sites such as, the legal ones like Hulu or, your not so legal ones. Your watch cartoons. We're not judging. We're not judging, folks. So go ahead and get your copy of the Journal, and we're going to do our level best to make it a conversation instead of just a commentary. But before we do that, Dragon, this is, of course, probably the single most important episode of Hey Arnold ever, being the season finale, the series finale, I should say, and also leaving us with 17 years worth of questions. As you were chastising me before we went on air, I got to say, I don't really remember a ton about this episode when it first aired. I mean, of course, I watched it as a fan of Hey Arnold. I watched it in retrospect on those said streaming sites and whatnot. But Dragon, it's weird. It's like Hey Arnold is one of those things for me where it's like I don't necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I just have a blank spot in my memories. But I wish I had some sort of soliloquy, some sort of story. Like with Parents' Day, the thing I remember about Parents' Day, Dragon, is that it was supposed to be the big reveal episode that this one turned out to be, but Parents' Day instead was a big emotional episode. But this, I really got nothing, Dragon. What's your nostalgia for this? Not to say it's a bad episode. It's just really my memory bank for this as a child is.
Well, let me see if I get this from you, T. This, you're saying it's been a long time since you've ever watched this.
No. I'm saying I'm saying I've seen it multiple times, as the strapping young man that I am, sure. I've seen it many times as an adult, Dragon, as a Hey Arnold fan, looking back on the whole series. What I'm saying is I don't quite remember, the event that this episode was. I definitely don't remember this being hyped up in the same way that Parents' Day was, and I certainly don't remember it being hyped up as a series finale. Of course, I know there's some ambiguity about whether or not this was meant to be the series finale or whatnot. I'm sure you can clear that out in the background. But yeah, Dragon, that's the thing, is this is a weird episode for me because obviously it's a big episode. It's got the parents in it and everything. And I'm not saying it wasn't hyped up. I'm not saying Nickelodeon didn't do any marketing. I'm just saying, what can I say? For my money, I don't remember much of it. I don't remember the hype.
For me, I remember nothing but the hype for this. Oh, God, do I remember. It's, folks, this is a huge event for me with Hey Arnold. I tell you, towards the tail end, of course, I had seen saw the Hey Arnold movie when it was released, but basically, I had an event similar to that.
Maybe I had just given up on the show after Arnold betrays Iggy and Phoebe's embarrassing problem. Which I gotta say, Phoebe's embarrassing problem is the bad episode of Hey Arnold that no one talks about that might be even worse than Arnold betrays Iggy.
But Tiki, that's the thing. It's like picking between your poisons. If you had to pick between your poisons,
I think Arnold betrays Iggy has more interesting stuff going on in it, whereas Phoebe's embarrassing problem is just it's embarrassing.
Tiki, let me make the choice simple. One episode, Arnold is not Arnold. The other episode, Arnold is Arnold. I'm going to go with the one Arnold is Arnold.
All right.
That, for me, is the simple choice. That's a simple, okay, well, the show's called Hey Arnold. I'm going to go with the one where he actually is in character. Anyway, getting back. Well, yeah, so, I remember being really hyped for this again. So, basically, it was like kind of the hype for the movie, but kind of on the small screen. In this case, I remember back in the day, before you could kind of pull up the on-demand menu, pull up the guide and everything, just kind of find out what's coming on in advance and everything, like I've done for the Jungle movie. I've already have a DVR and everything in advance.
Oh, yeah.
Before we could do that, folks, there was a time where you would watch Nickelodeon, you watch the marathons, you watch the blocks, and hey, they would hype up or advertise a big event. One of the things I remember for various Nickelodeon shows, like Wild Thornberrys and such, is of course when they hype up the big episode or the big movie event, the big TV movie, like the
God, SpongeBob would do that a lot, Dragon.
They would, and you're absolutely right about that. I'm going deeper cuts on this, T. I'm talking again, like you have the origin of Don. I'm talking about all the Jimmy Neutron big movie events, with Tim Allen, Tim Allen on Win, Lose, Kaboom. I got all those, got all those sorts of events. But again, hey, Arnold always had kind of a
Dragon, I actually remember watching like the entire marathon for Best Day Ever, and then imagine my disappointment.
Yep. And what I'm saying, so the journal was, he was hyped up in the promos and marketing, basically saying, like, I don't know what it was, like Sunday or whenever they were airing, a Friday or Sunday, most likely a Friday if I were to be a betting man. Again, they build to it during the week. Most likely they showed Parents' Day before it. And I remember, of course, the day when the VHS player was very popular, and we could actually tape things before we're DVRing it now. Of course, I was a big connoisseur of the VHS tape, as well as the magical advent of recording onto a VHS tape. And I had like mountains and stacks of VHS tape as far as the eye could see. Anyway, so I remember taping this and have like Hey Arnold. I wrote in my little label, Hey Arnold, the journal. Actually, I don't even think I wrote Hey Arnold. I just wrote the journal because I know it. I know what it is. I don't care if anyone else knows. I know what it is. I know it's the journal because it was such a huge event. Because again, Parents' Day was kind of like a tease at Arnold's parents, and this is going to be something even bigger. In the marketing, with the way they hyped it up, and I remember this, Teague. I always remember this. The marketing. They kept recycling this shot. Nickelodeon tended to do this a lot with their promos. They recycle one shot to kind of signify what the event was or what the movie was or what the special was. In this case, it was the last shot where Arnold, he's flipping through the page.
Talk about a tease, right?
Basically, it's the big, you don't see what he sees, but it's like, hey, he opens the book and there are the pages.
Oh, okay.
At the very end, the big, like, the split in the page shot. That's what they kept using. And again, you had no idea. So again, I was like, I'm already there, and they're selling me more than they can already sell me. I'm going to tape this so I can have it for posterity forever. And of course, years and years later, longer wait than we should have had for the advent of DVD, and as Tiki said, streaming and the backstory. Yeah, that's my personal nostalgia and connection. Watching it, I was satisfied it was an adventure. We're going to get into like all kind of the fun nostalgia of it as we go through and such. But it's like a minute of backstory here, folks. So the story behind the journal, without getting too much into the Jungle movie, let's focus on from a kind of the setup of it all here. Is that basically Nickelodeon was ordering the last 3 episodes of season 5. While they're ordering like the last 3 episodes, and this wasn't broken the 3 episodes. I'm just saying that they were ordering like the last 3 episodes. They were ordering kind of the tail end of season 5 at this point. Nickelodeon wanted a lead-in for a TV movie. So this is the point where this is after the Arnold movie came out. This is after they kind of switched the plan. They were like, okay, we still want you to do the movie, just make one, instead of doing this as a TV movie, make Jungle Movie as a TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Nickelodeon was kind of planning on marketing that. You got to remember, they were starting production on the Jungle Movie, which ties into a certain scene in this picture. You're going to see that. We'll get to that later. But the point is, they were working on it within season 5, the big TV movie, and this is going to be kind of like how Rugrats in Paris has the fall, the big fall changing episode for the Rugrats, kind of that couple episodes and kind of the revamped Rugrats episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So Bartlett, right from the get-go, Bartlett didn't like the idea of this cliffhanger, and he didn't say this, but I'm just going to tell you, Tig, I don't know if you're aware of this. It's very much the Alf approach, and the Alf approach famously is that you do a show and you end on a cliffhanger, where basically Alf ends on a cliffhanger of, oh God, he's been caught. What now?
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
I gotta watch the next season, and they never made a next season, but they did do a TV movie, which, well, let's just say it's iffy.
Greg, the dinosaur sitcom ends with the extinction of the dinosaurs?
Well, of course I know that.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. I just wanted to check.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh God, it's like in the world stuff. Like we're saying something
right,
huge,
right.
And then because we're expecting to come back for another season. Nope.
Well, to be fair, I think with the dinosaurs example, that was more just like them being ballsy and really artistic.
Well, yeah, that's why I didn't cite the dinosaur, because that's an ending. This is a cliffhanger. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So, boy, Bartlett didn't like the idea of a cliffhanger because you're hedging your bets a lot in that. And of course, the Nickelodeon was true to its word, but 17 years later. So
it only took about 15 years of SpongeBob reruns for them to change their mind.
It's like 15 or 16 years with change. I don't know how much hairs you want to split on, because again, they were working on a bit of it, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
many years later. Okay, so that's where we are with the journal. So yes, give the nice people up.
Yeah, folks, like I said, just go ahead and get your copies right there watching on Hulu or, anywhere else. We won't judge. And,
also, just, get it to the black part. Tell them that.
well, you tell them that.
Okay, I'll tell them that. So, folks, listen, if you're watching this on a streaming site of some kind, or I don't know, maybe if Hulu has ads, I don't know, just make sure you get it to the point. Again, folks, we're going to approximate this best we can. Again, we're going to keep the conversations, even if you're not there at the very umpteenth of a second. Just, we'll roll with it. Just,
okay, you know what? I'm just going to say it because I can be more direct than you are. So basically, folks, if you're watching this on Watch Cartoons Online like we are, there's going to be a little Hey Arnold, like Nickelodeon bumper right at the beginning. It lasts like 10 seconds.
Which I have on that VHS tape, by the way.
So, folks, we're looking to start this thing right when the episode fades to black, which if you're watching it on Watch Cartoons Online, the timestamp should be about 45, 48. And either way, on Hulu or whatever, just get it there. Just get it there. But like Dragon said, we're going to do our level best to make this a conversation, not just like, hey, isn't this specific part so good?
Oh, look at Abner go. Look at him.
I know, right?
That's one mighty cute pig. Okay.
All right, you ready to go, Dragon?
Yes.
All right, folks. Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie is coming up in a couple days. But before then, let's get to the journal in 1, 2, 3. Go. All right. So first things first is the music in both Parents' Day and this episode are very distinct, very memorable. Nothing that we've seen on the show before, created exclusively for this episode.
And of course, we do pull a few familiar cues from Parents' Day in here, but we do it very strategically, and we'll get there. We have some really strategic pulls of that.
Gotta love that jazzy Jim Lang.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Honestly, just looking at it here, just how we kind of go from these stills. We went from various views of Arnold's room and his building to kind of a dream sequence here. It is it's kind of like how the Hey Arnold movie starts in a way.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as cinematic, but it's still cool.
I also like how we focus on the clouds, much like in the finale of Parents' Day. Kind of a nice little visual bridge between the two episodes.
Very true, very true. Yes, so we have dreaded pirates, and remember, folks, again, it's to kind of track a little bit of Jungle movie hype here, because you do have a scene in here that does definitely do that. It sets up the entire film. Arnold's parents do go up against pirates, and that's kind of pirates are going to be essentially going to be our bad guy for the Jungle movie.
I wonder if Arnold's parents ever ran into Tarzan's parents.
Tiki, I'm gonna say no on that one, but I'm not.
Why? Because of the 200-year time gap between the two.
A little, but we're getting sidetracked here. Let me talk about the impactfulness of this opening here, where I love this, Tiki. I love that. I still appreciate this years later that Arnold is. Arnold's left alone on this boat, and again, boat's as a tattered wreck, and he's been abandoned, saying, "Come back, come back."
Mm-hmm.
Startling, eye-catching opening here, and I've always loved this as a storytelling device. Actually, when I've pitched like kind of Toy Story 4 in the past, I was pulling from this to an extent. The whole the anniversary of the missing. Well, in Toy Story's case, it was the missing owner. In this case, the missing parents.
Right. So are we ready to see some Goofy movie bacon?
Yes.
Seriously, Goofy movie is like my standard for food animation when it comes to breakfast.
Yep. And again, let's address this because we address this a lot in the Parents' Day. But with Dan Castellaneta and Tress MacNeille, especially Dan Castellaneta, the way they play, rarely do we get a lot of drama with Phil. When we do, oh my God, does it land? And we always get the drama with Phil in the parents-related episodes, and he still delivers here. And again, I love that he has a great balance here, where there's a lot of comedy with Phil within this. As a framing device, we still get those points of drama like we got here, and we're going to get a little towards the tail end of this movie. It was special. And here we have.
I wonder if that boat was an It reference.
Tiki, I would like to think so, but I'm not gonna.
I mean,
Honestly,
it's so on the nose. I
Tiki,
mean, maybe I'm just thinking of it because, of course, the remake came out and it made it super popular. But
I mean, Tiki obviously
it's pretty similar.
Tiki obviously it's referencing the opening boat scene, but I would like to think there might be a pull from it. So I'm going to give you a little meet you halfway on that one. However,
so I love how the kids are all on their way to Dino Land, Dragon. I love the continuity that they fixed the Coastersaurus Rex.
Yep. It's half
because of course Roller Coaster is one of my top 10 favorite episodes of Hey Arnold, and Eugene and Arnold being stuck on Coastersaurus Rex is like the main thrust of that episode.
By the way, I love in this opening here we kind of sad. It's like the saddest day ever for Arnold. We keep emphasizing that it's raining. You got the boat. Like, hey Arnold, remember when you had that really sad dream where your parents went missing? Hey, there's a boat. It's alone and it's not sad anymore. How can we make this more sad? His friends are going to Dino Land, and then they're insulting him as they're leaving. Arnold, yeah, he's being weird. Of course, we have to squeeze in Helga in this episode in the top part. That's probably them realizing, okay, it's gonna be outside what we usually do on Hey Arnold. I mean, again, it's basically like a whole episode marketed on the flashback from Parents' Day. It's essentially what this episode is.
Yeah, right. And then it's basically like all the stuff in present day is essentially just taking place in the living room.
Yeah, again, as a framing device to break it up mainly for the commercials. By the way, I love that. And again, that was kind of the benefit of the VHS thing. It was like, oh god, it's like fast forward the commercials, but it's always timed where Grandpa has to leave the room to use the bathroom.
Oh god.
Of course, here, bringing. I love how we get the origin of that plane later on. At the very least, the plane like that. But we have these great symbols of the parents. The ever-present plane and boat and like all the adventure-y stuff. And again, this is what I'm talking about. It's like sadness upon sadness.
I know.
Hey, remember where your parents disappeared in the biplane? And look, there's a happy family.
Drag, I gotta point out the way that they kind of use visual motifs in this episode very much feels like a series finale. What I mean specifically is how they use like Arnold will open a door and all the animals will come rushing in. Dragon, that's actually something I remember being used in like the marketing for this show is like, hey, Arnold lives in this crazy house where all the animals are like running in and out of the house all the time. And it's something that never really gets brought up in the show all that much. But I'm just saying, like, with it being here, it's kind of like one of those, like full circle things. I don't know. Am I crazy?
I mean, I'm going to say this. This absolutely should have been the last episode. We should have aired like this being last. Because, again, this is, continuity-wise, this is like the ending. It does have a lot of this finale. Again, this was made as if it were a finale. So you're not far off with that. I don't think it's exactly that, but you're not
goddamn Phoebe episode was the final episode, right?
That's what I'm saying. So it's,
Just why?
Well, we have like the big journal event going on here. And by the way, again, I'm talking about in the previous scene, again, with Phil and Pookie. And in this, I love that they're eerily silent in scenes, like when they notice Arnold's like Arnold's had it, like I'm giving up hope here. And again, that's for Arnold's character, and that's a big finale-esque thing right there. Arnold, there's no bright side, there's no more stories, no more bright side. He puts his hat in the box. We had a whole episode in the beginning about Arnold tracking that hat,
right?
Which, by the way, that episode had obscured versions of Arnold's parents. So again, that hat has always been really important. And here we go, the big inciting incident of this journal. How do you feel about the journal just as the plot device, as like the reason for telling these stories?
I mean, I think it works well. Like you said, the whole point of the episode is to kind of expand on the Parents' Day flashback. So I like how it places a significance on a family heirloom. You know what I mean?
Yes, and what I really like about it, Tiki, the reason I really love it as a plot device is that, again, we have the unreliable narrator always as Phil, but now we have like a thing of record to draw from, so we know this is true.
Exactly.
And I love that
Dragon, that's one of the things we've been tracking throughout all of Hey Arnold month is the Phil is an unreliable narrator thing. It's one of the things that the show uses quite a bit in its storytelling, and this is kind of like, as I said, it's kind of... Again, we kind of get like a series finale kind of vibe off of this where it's like, all right, like this is like Phil kind of putting his money where his mouth is in terms of the story.
Right. So of course now we do this at least 2 times, and two to three. I don't know how many you want to split hairs on that, but let's just say a couple sequences in this. Of course, we do reinterpret the scenes we saw from Parents' Day, but interestingly, we don't just rehash it, because again, there's some other moments I really liked from those flashbacks. They don't just pull directly in this, like the whole saving Eduardo. I was surprised that wasn't in this, but again, they're kind of still keeping like the experience of Parents' Day like as a big memorable thing. So I like that. I like how we're still kind of we're adding new context in it, so it's like you're still like enjoying the previous experience without saying, well, I could just watch this and encompass everything I felt in the other episode. No, it's just, you've said before, Tiki, it's one's the big emotional kind of what does it mean to have parents. This one is like, okay, let's talk about the parents.
This one is essentially like all the answers that we thought we were going to get from the original Parents' Day.
Yeah. Now let me say this, and I kind of hinted at this with Parents' Day, but now we're kind of spending a lot more time with it here and seeing it unfold, which I do appreciate. I love how we can, you know me, Dave. I've always loved in writing where you can kind of explore characters and characterization through cities, but also through parentage and kind of through ancestry and DNA and stuff. And I love how you can see Arnold's character traits stem from his parents here. So Miles, that's where Arnold gets his curiosity and his intrigue from. And from Stella, who, by the way, every time I rewatch this, I think I love Stella more out of the parents, because I used to like the father, I used to like Miles more, but every time I rewatch it, in adulthood, I've loved Stella more.
I mean, do we really have to choose?
No, we don't have to. I'm just saying I have more than
They're both great, Dragon. I think that's one of the reasons this episode plays so well, is that you get the chemistry in these two. It's off the charts. I mean, I totally buy that these two just absolutely adore each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful romance that unfolds. I like how we see like all the stages of from dating to from dating to being in a committed relationship to marriage, and of course to having a child. I like how we can see all those events unfold. Now, with Stella too, I like not only do we get the football shaped head, but importantly we get the medical doctor who helps people, and that's why Arnold helps people.
Mm.
So again, I love that tracks. It's kind of the altruistic kind of like Arnold's father's like, he's a really ethical, nice guy. Like Arnold doing the right thing stems from his father, and Arnold helping people stems from the mother. I just love that from a character point of view.
Sure.
So let's talk about the green-eyed people.
I mean, I think the green-eyed people are probably like the best thing about this episode, because, of course, it gives us just such a genuine reason for why Arnold's parents have to go back, and I think building them up as much as they do really does give this episode like a hefty weight behind it. You know what I mean? Because when we get to that inevitable scene at the park with Eduardo, it's going to be so much more than just like, oh, there's a village that's sick and it needs our help. It's like, no, we don't necessarily connect names to faces or anything, but we know exactly how how important these people are to the very foundation of Miles and Stella's life.
And Tiki, that's an example of a smart retroactive choice of like, you're going to add dimension to something without undercutting the original. You're going to change something, but change it to better it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, ever since I've always loved just the name, the green-eyed people. I just love the green-eyed this, the green-eyed that. I just love kind of identifying them like that, them having a symbol, and the fact that we don't see them, but we're building them up, and we have these little moments of intersection where again, like they put out the net. We see these events directly. Like again, it's not just the fact they happen, like the green-eyed people save their bacon, but we get to see it happen. It's like it's a memorable set piece in each act. Like act one, it's like it's the net that saves them, and of course and vice versa. And then in act two, of course, it's going to be you save them from the sickness and Arnold's birth. And of course in the third act would be basically where we leave with Parents' Day. So again, I love how we have like a big kind of tit for tat thing with them each act. Really cool.
Oh yeah.
And here we go. Now, this scene is the big setup for the Jungle movie, this whole sequence here. So there was a scene that has been leaked for the Jungle movie of when it was in production way back when, and that was fully animated as kind of a test to hopefully be basically in the vein of like some of the Deadpool movie, be leaked and would kind of get it in production again. And this scene right here is basically they finished this scene, or they reinterpreted this scene for what would be in the Jungle movie, where they escape here, and La Sombra, who is going to be our big bad guy for the Jungle movie,
right,
is swearing revenge for this item. This item is going to be the crux of the Jungle movie, the Le Corazon. And in the movie, Alfred Molina is going to play La Sombra.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I was saying it's a big, kind of big important scene here for that. So swearing revenge. So that kind of archaeological pirate will be after him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the Jungle movie is going to be the TV movie. This was sort of a TV special. It's interesting, kind of the connective tissue between the two mediums here.
And by the way, it just passed, but a moment that always haunted me from the special, I've always loved. And again, that also we got to give kudos to Craig Bartlett and Stella. I forget her first name, but Stella, the voice actress for Arnold's mother, who again they took the name from him, basically the producer and co-creator of Arnold. I think they, for people who aren't necessarily trained in voice acting, they did an excellent job as these characters, I thought.
I mean, I especially think Craig Bartlett just knocks it out of the park. I really do in this episode. Just especially as it gets towards the end, because Dragon, structurally, of course, the brilliant thing about this episode is that we know how the story ends. You know what I mean? Like, we know that this story is not going to have a happy ending. And it's almost kind of like that Steven Universe thing, right? Where it's like the closer we are to Arnold, like, coming into the world, the closer we are to the inevitable.
Yeah, and honestly, T, I gotta tell you this, and again, I think we've joked about this mainly with Spider-Man, but there's always there's a vague kind of Batman-esque quality to the whole, Arnold missing the parents thing here, and there was a lot of Thomas Wayne in Arnold's father here and there.
Just really quick, I fucking love this thing with Pookie.
Oh god, I just love this runner where she just keeps listing the wrong event.
Yes, God.
We have some good running gags in this, because not only do we have just this with, Grandma's being crazy, interrupting the story with all these ridiculous tangents, basically doing what we do all the time. But aside from that, I love that we have other running gags, like Eduardo, if you can track this throughout the whole thing, Eduardo has terrible ideas that land him in hot water.
Yes, and I really like how at first Stella is like really...
I'm going to punch him.
Yeah, she's like anti-Eduardo, but then by the end of the episode, it's like he's basically family.
I know, and I love that. That's what I'm saying. I love how these motifs track. And again, with Arnold's father being the ethical guy, and what the thing was hyping out with Craig Bartlett. I love that. I love that. No, don't look at sacred. That whole "don't look at sacred" moment. Yeah, I mean that's a character I can root for. The guy who honors the old ways because he reaches out to cultures and stuff, and I love that.
Exactly.
Fantastic gag with Phil, and again, these are the shots that are burned in my memory, Tiki, of Phil, like with the suspenders when it says, "My father." And it's so great. Again, I love we get to, while we're sticking to a script in this case with the journal. I love that we can he's testing if Arnold's paying attention by throwing him a few loops here and there. That's great.
I gotta say, Dragon, out of all the stuff in this episode, this one gag probably doesn't really do it for me. This whole, like,
I'm with you.
Prolonged wedding vows thing. I think it's a little bit culturally insensitive.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's insensitive. I'm just saying it might be like a true life fact here, and for all we know, I mean, it's it might take a long time to read these vows, and just it might actually be on the money. I don't know how many Mayan weddings have you gone to?
Well, 0 to be fair, but I mean,
how are we supposed to know?
Dragon, let me just say, I'd love it if in this moment I'd be like, you know what, Dragon? As a matter of fact, my cousin married a Mayan girl, so one, sir, one, and it didn't take this long.
Well, if he did, tell me this: was there a Mayan officiator?
Oh God.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying, like, seriously, this goes on for... There's no way this takes this long. There's no way.
Again, you'd be surprised. There are some ceremonies that do take... Again, there are certain things that go to the ad infinitum of, like, taking a long time or just doing, like, extraneous things. But
okay, yeah, but then they punctuate it with a joke of, like, of course, he says, like, like he says he goes on that thing that like takes like a whole day, and then he says like one thing, and it's like,
yeah, basically Eduardo just sums it all up with everything we know. It's like, you take her to be your lawful wife, you may have kissed the bride.
Right.
I do. Yeah, we don't need it. I'm gonna agree with you, Tiki. We don't need this scene at all. But I mean, it's kind of the earthquake things. It's
I
kind of
do like the earthquake thing.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love the earthquake thing.
Like the earthquake thing's cute, and also I love seeing a word run off with this guy like he's a football or something. I think it's hilarious. Aside from that, it's cute, but you're right. It does go along with it.
And the earthquake thing to me is like it illustrates my point of like this episode. We really do feel these two in love with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, you gotta remember to at this point in time, mate. I know it's like you're really like 2000, very possibly, but even like in the 90s framework, in cartoons period, like before we get to like the Steven Universe era, doing an episode on like the parents, doing an episode on the parents, on a couple falling in love and living a life. Again, this is pre-up, folks. That's a hard sell for a network, you'd imagine, right?
I mean, yeah, unless your cartoon happens to be Hey Arnold.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that one makes the basis load. I'm just saying, ordinarily, you go to anywhere else with this. I mean, that's a hard sell, right?
Yeah. Like, could you imagine an episode about the angry beaver's parents or something like that?
Well, they have had episodes with them, but they're gags. Not exactly well thought out like a love story. It's just like okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Dragon. Imagine if they tried to do like a well thought out love story with those characters. Imagine if they tried.
I like the origin of Abner here, by the way. I love the whole he's a gift from the green-eyed people. I think that to me, it's like that's.
Phil wanted to eat him badly.
That's hilarious, but what still tickles me to this day, Tiki, is the follow-up conversation with Arnold, like chastising Phil for this, and just Phil not apologizing for it. Just Arnold, he was looking really tasty back then, and there was cake is low calories.
And of course, I love Abner just sticking his nose up and walking away.
That's a dignified pig. Laszlo Valentine will respect that pig. That's Professor Pig from Gotham, by the way. That's anyway. So this game, again, we have two adult jokes in this thing. We have the thing where we discover that Abner is a boy.
Of course, it's kind of like a repeat of the adult joke in Parents' Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little more adult here, and it's like it's a cute adult gag, and I like okay with no honeymoon, no, but I love that we started though. I love that we started, and we didn't need that. I just love that we.
And I love how this continues to be a problem for Phil telling stories.
You weren't thinking of Parents' Day. You're thinking of Veterans Day.
You're right. I was thinking of Veterans Day.
That's why you had me stuck there for a moment, because it was like, wait a minute, that wasn't.
No. Yeah, you're right. I'm totally like, yeah, I spaced there for a second, Drake, and I am thinking of Veterans Day.
But I'm just saying that we had adult jokes in Hey Arnold, a lot of Nickelodeon, cartoons at the same time. Regardless, you see what I'm saying? I mean, again, it's kind of nice. It was a clever setup for that one. I was surprised at least we started that joke, and he hides the pages underneath the couch.
I love how panicked he gets.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, all the food excuses. Again, like you get a sense that a day goes by in the story, don't you?
Yeah. All the food is ridiculous and hilarious, and of course,
all the food and bathroom breaks.
Of course, the food gives us a reason to have the bathroom breaks.
Yeah, I love how that tracks. Oh, here coming up is one of my favorite sequences in the piece. I love the cart,
it's a gondola, right?
Yes, the gondola. Basically like the gondola cars. The little. Basically, of course, I always love a good heroic moment where people get to save other people. In this case, Arnold's parents, they're going to have the goodness of their heart here. They're helping some people in need. On their honeymoon, in fact. They don't
this is what you're talking about with the whole Arnold saving people thing.
Yeah, sure. So there's definitely a bit of that in there, but it plays into that absolutely. I was just thinking more like Arnold helping people is definitely kind of what Stella does. But yeah, sure. I mean, it also we've had sequences like this. We're using familiar cues from that too. Like, okay, big intense sequence here. Usually Arnold's not involved in a lot of those sequences, but he's involved in a number of them. I like how we kind of foreshadow Arnold's color scheme with this kid here, the kid in peril, because he has blonde hair, he's got the blue hat, and he's got a red shirt. Now, the red shirt, I'm just saying for young Arnold, we have him in red and blue a lot. So I'm just saying we're kind of foreshadowing.
And of course, Arnold's jacket is red.
Sure. So, I mean, the point is that the color scheme is covered. Again, I like we're kind of foreshadowing that they're going to have a son. Kind of like, they have a son, they have interactions with children.
Mm-hmm.
So. And again, we had cool action with these guys, and again, a lot of people just the instant citation would be like, "Oh God, it's so Indiana Jones-esque. It's so
Stella."
What do you think of the? We haven't talked about this. What do you think of the running gag of Miles being very accident prone?
I think it's pretty funny because, like you said, he is like, it's surface value. He's an Indiana Jones type guy, so I think the accident prone nature of him makes him like,
He's
pretty unique.
He's a clumsy Indiana Jones.
Right. Like, he's not just Nathan Drake, and Nathan Drake is basically like, take Indiana Jones, modernize him a little bit. You got Nathan Drake. This guy, he's got a little bit more of a, of a unique personality to him.
I love the pool transition of we go from like them taking the painful plunge and coming out from the pool here, and I just love this reveal. Again, Stella has gotten away scot-free with it. Arnold's father, again, on the other hand, he's like got a broken arm, broken hand, he's got a neck brace. But he's got the sunglasses on. They're having a good time. It's
right.
It's nice. And of course, the Bearer of Bad News. I love when they mention his name, almost like Beetlejuice. Eduardo shows up. But again, I like that the friendship is there with Eduardo. And the thing I point out with Eduardo, it showed, I think, more in Parents' Day, but it's here too with the friendship, is that Eduardo is kind of like Arnold's, is like Miles is Gerald. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It did show more in Parents' Day than in this episode, but that is a very fair comparison.
But yeah, I love tracking Arnold's character within the previous generation. I do love seeing that all the time. We can do that. Just uses Pookie as a door. It's hilarious. Now it's nighttime. Now we got street lights on. Light as a feather. Oh yeah, so now we're on the big save for the Green-Eyed people. Basically, this foreshadows, and I think this is a clever device, given like we know they're going to go save. That's
what I'm saying, Dragon. Like I think that was a really interesting writing decision on this episode's part to have like, okay, we all know what this episode's leading to.
Yet we're doing it early.
That wasn't the first time it happened.
Exactly. So and honestly, it kind of adds more. Again, if you're Arnold, you've put yourself in Arnold's shoes. You're finding this out. That would lead you to think they might be okay. Them missing because they've done this before, which kind of again puts you in Arnold's shoes somewhat.
Sure.
And of course, we have a big sequence. Here collecting the ingredients for the serum.
Mm-hmm. God.
Basically, a lot of like, oh, Miles does things the cowboy way. In the case of like doing things the hard way.
And that's what I'm saying about Miles, Dragon. It delights me so much about him that, he's trying so much to be like the stoic, like Indiana Jones type adventurer guy. But in his heart, he's really not that. You know what I mean?
But I love that together they do form like a fully functional Indiana Jones. Individually. Right. Not so much. And again, that's what I'm saying.
Stella is more of a fully functional Indiana Jones on her own than Miles is.
And the thing I was getting out still earlier on, again, is the fact that, again, I think I had, years later, I just had more of an appreciation for them as like a unit. And I'm just kind of, again, I just kind of lumped them as a unit beforehand. In this case, I'm seeing kind of the values of both of them. I think Stella impressed me more. Mm-hmm. Every time I rewatched it, I was like, it's all the cool character traits. I kind of had more respect for the botanist, and I had the adventure, I guess, in the rewatch.
To be fair to Miles, though, I also share his fear of spiders, his crippling fear of spiders. I hate them, Dragon. I hate them.
And of course, speaking of Indiana Jones, the fear of spiders, of course, derivative of the fear of snakes.
Of course.
We travel by map.
Yes, we do.
I always loved Tiki. I've always loved that this is anime. I loved everything about this. Again, this is what kind of still wins me over on Still every time I watch. I love that she dives into the quicksand, ties a line around, dives in. There's like a professional dive inside and saves Miles.
That's some fast acting quicksand, man.
Again, there's quicksand.
I mean, going back to the Indiana Jones comparison, the quicksand in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like weak sauce compared to that.
Would you say this is better than the Crystal Skull?
Oh, yes. Oh, God, absolutely.
I know it's an unfair comparison. It's a bizarre comparison, but would you? I mean, I'm just saying, I think 9 people out of 10 same way.
I love Eduardo randomly chasing the butterfly.
Look at he's collecting them for the little test.
I know, but That doesn't mean he can't have a good time while he's doing it, and that it looks like he's having a good time.
And again, this is like kind of again seeing Stella at her doing her job again. Stella's kind of the MVP of kind of creating the cure here, because again, Miles was pivotal in kind of gathering the materials, but again, it's all Stella here. It's all he can't really help out in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Montage. Yay! We saved the Green Eye people. Yeah. I always love these altars, by the way. I love how the Green Eye people, again, we don't see them, but we have these really cool looking altars. And I love it's never the same altar. It's like a different altar.
Do you think we're actually going to see the Green-Eyed People in the Jungle movie?
Of course we're going to see the Green-Eyed People in the Jungle movie, Tiki. Yeah.
I mean, like their actual designs and whatnot?
Yeah.
Is that confirmed?
I know fan posters have tried to... Tiki, I'm going to be very shocked if we don't see him. I'm saying it's
because I gotta say, like, just the way that they have them obscured, like, I wouldn't be against them showing them, but at the same time, I think it would be kind of a bold artistic choice if they were presented in the same way they're presented here.
Well, Tiki, I'll bet you this: one of two things. One, we're just going to build them like we don't see him until like the end of Act 1, or possibly we won't see him until the second hour.
Okay.
But again, we'll do this, but then eventually we'll reveal them after they come out of the shadows.
Right.
Like we'll build them up, like they'll be in the jungle, and like we the it's like, oh boy, that's familiar. That's like the device we use in the Green-Eyed People. Then of course, end of let's say the end of the first hour. Oh my God, it's the Green-Eyed People, and we see him. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. That'd be great.
Yeah. And of course, Baby Arnold. Baby Arnold is formed.
In a few days, this conversation's going to be kind of moot.
Oh, sure. Well, again, this was a penultimate. Again, this is the build-up for the Jungle movie. So again, I imagine people watch this before the Jungle movie.
At least we're not recording this like 24 hours before the Jungle movie. At least we're giving a little leeway.
Right. Oh God, this is crazy.
Just as the episode goes on, Pookie just descends more and more into madness.
Yeah. All right. Okay, here we go. This is nice too. And again, I love that. Love this how they're building a village in San Lorenzo. So that's something we're going to be able to track when we get in Jungle movie. They started the construction of the village while they were there.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
I love how Phil keeps pointing out, like, yeah, that's you and your mom's belly, short man.
And of course, that's for the kids. That's for maybe the young kids watching, like saying, like, "What do they mean? Where's Arnold? Where's the store?" No, kids, he's in the belly. He's in the belly right now. And you know what? They don't say it explicitly, but I like that. There's enough of it there when Stella gives her pain delivery of "I'm not very happy." When she says that, you get a sense that's because, I mean, again, the kid's got a football-shaped head. It's not going to take.
Oh, God.
You got to imagine.
Oh, boy.
And again, I know we kind of brought this up a little bit. Again, just being the football-shaped head, I always appreciate that design mixture there. Of course, the cornflower, kind of the corn-stalked haired father giving us, that look with Arnold, and of course, kind of the football. Again, he has his mother's head. And the nose shaped. I'm saying all the head. That's all the mother.
So I gotta say, Dragon, this volcano eruption birth scene is, for me, probably the best scene in the whole special.
It's very intense.
Yeah, exactly. I love how intense it is. I love how it's just built up as this cataclysmic, like, monolithic moment, which it is in this show, given that it's the birth of our main hero.
I love this compliment that he paid Pookie here. It's terrifying and beautiful, just like you, Pookie. Adorable. But yeah, you're right, Dave. This is a great intense sequence. You really don't expect this going into like kind of an origin of Arnold's parents. You don't really expect it, but it's awesome and it's very welcome.
I mean, like I said, it's just like for the canon of the actual show, the fact that this is the birth of our main character.
I know, right?
You can't get more epic than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say that this truly is probably the most epic birth scene I have ever seen, Dragon.
You're right about that. And again, I also love that Eduardo yet again tempted fate by saying, well, there's good news and bad news. Good news is, hey, we just got to get around the mountain. Bad news, it's a volcano. But don't worry, they never go off. And of course, news dooms them. But again, Tiki, I love that. Tiki, I think the big moment, the big tense payoff of it all is when we have when they realize, okay, we're gonna have to give birth here, but then they realize, okay, lava is still flowing and they're goners. Like, okay, we can't deliver here if we wanted to. We're
right, yeah.
It's almost like a matchstick moment, and then of course, huzzah, green-eyed people come through. Even when they get there, it's not a certainty because again, the lava could rise and rise, but the birth of Arnold quails any volcano.
Oh yeah.
It's an intense sequence.
I love the look of the hideout for the green-eyed people too. It's almost kind of like built like the Great Wall of China or something like that. You know, it's built into the mountain.
I love how it's never the same place. I love how they just have these locations sparse, like, you know, kind of spread out throughout San Lorenzo. Again, there are hidden villages, hidden cities all over the place. That's again, it's tying into very much El Dorado because again, pulling from Mayan and Aztec kind of stuff. You know, mainly Mayan in the case of San Lorenzo, but you know, it's. I'm saying the case of the green-eyed people in San Lorenzo, so they're kind of.
Love Stella chewing Miles' head off about the classes.
Yeah.
This is a great lava animation, Dragon, isn't it?
You're right about that.
How it's like the lava is like melting off the ivy from the stone and stuff like that.
And again, the ivy is contributing to the whole green-eyed element too, which is cool. And again, here we go. Birth of Arnold. Quails any volcano, darn it.
Yeah, you just don't get a more epic birth scene than this. You just don't.
Simba can eat it compared to this.
I know, seriously.
Oh, what happens?
Although technically that's not a birth scene. That's more of like after the birth scene, but...
Well, doesn't Lion King 2 open with a birth, or is that another christening scene?
It's another christening.
See, Lion King isn't even brave enough to have a birth scene. It's like, oh, we got a little christening, you know, like, we'll lift him up. Oh, look, we had a bit proud.
You know, when Rafiki lifted up Simba, everyone was like, "Oh, it's so majestic." But when Michael Jackson tried to do it with his kid, everyone thought it was weird. All right.
So let's acknowledge it here. We're gonna get a lot of this throughout the special with our young characters, but let's just say it here with Arnold. How adorable is he? Look at him, he's so cute. And here's the thing I really like with Arnold, and literally in every I'm sorry, this is a big important scene we got to talk about here. Again, the green-eyed people, they know that Arnold was born here. They've seen him, and they know his name, Arnold. That jazzed me out of my mind when I saw it the first time, Tiki. That still jazzes me out of my mind every. It gives me chills.
17 years later, it's like, oh, maybe we'll finally get a resolution to that plot line.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like 100% convinced we're going to see the Grand People and they're going to have a scene.
That makes sense. Yeah,
they're going to pay that off, man. I'm going to be super mad if they don't pay that off. I was saying that was like that. Oh god, it psyched me out of my mind when I. Oh god, it's so cool. It's just like, oh my god, they're gonna have something to talk about when they meet years later.
I hear you.
It'd be awesome. I wonder if because they've always teased like if they're gonna do this or not. Do you think they're gonna give Arnold the last name in the movie?
Yes.
Because I remember they were flirting with that, but then again, they've kind of gone back and forth on that story if they're gonna do that or not.
I mean, we already kind of saw it happen in the trailer.
Really?
Well, yeah, we don't see what the actual last name is, but we see that Arnold's signing for something.
Oh yeah, they are pulling for the. Yeah, that's the rumor I heard. That's how they did. That's what they talked about doing. So I guess they eventually went with that. That's cool. Okay, well we'll see how. Well, again, folks, we'll see how it goes.
Of course, it's still up in the air if we're actually gonna get the last name because they could always pull like an editing trick in that moment. You know what I mean?
I love this threat here, like all the interruptions, and he's like, I gotta roll it.
I love how serious his face is. He needs business.
It's great. Just the duct. That full day has had the duct tape at the ready, just in case. And here's the thing: the reoccurring why Arnold's so cute as a baby, but what's I love here, I love that Arnold. Every image we see of Arnold as a baby, he is always happy.
Yep. Yep.
He's never not happy. And that's usually a cliche we have. Like we do the Dill Pickles thing of like, oh, he's crying after he's been born. Oh, he's just crying left and right. No, it's no Rugrats movie for this.
Nope.
And again, I like this as as motivation here. And again, it's kind of playing to my love of kind of the cities and defining people by their cities here. I love that we're kind of getting an inkling. We don't get like an explanation. We get an inkling of Miles's connection to the boarding house, growing up in the boarding house like Arnold has in the show that we've seen. And the fact he's moving back because, again, oh my God, it's a freaking dangerous jungle. With a baby, could wander out and get attacked by a snake. We got to go back home.
But of course, this episode, probably the best thing it accomplishes is it really does give you the reason for why saving the people of San Lorenzo is such a big deal. You know what I mean? Oh
yeah, we had that sweet Eduardo payoff.
Yep. Where it's like, as we said, like Eduardo, he's not the villain of the piece, but at the same time, it's like we do not want to see his face. Seeing his face is bad news.
Yeah. Basically, like as much as he is Gerald in Parents' Day, I think he's more Eugene in this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a cute world building here that the Borders have been there for many years. You know, they've been there for Oscar, Mr. Wynn, and Ernie. They've been there for a while.
I do like that detail.
I love this is such a cute montage and God, the two. Oh, I'm sorry. He waves at Mr. Green. It's so adorable. I love seeing it. Again, he's happy in every scene, Tiki. He's always happy.
Yep.
And he's waving at Mr. Green, but I also love, him honking the horn, honking.
I love the honking the horn. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's like, I don't mean to be like a broken record.
No, and these scenes they're just so natural. It's like, this is how so many oh God.
So we do like the Grinch lines. We do like, like when the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes of that day, we do the thing where like around like all like the glistening light and we remove the hat and everything. It's like, sorry, this is like Phil getting his glowing review of himself. Like, oh my, he's a bon vivant. He's my intelligent father.
No, but I'm just saying this episode is just, it's a great sort of like representation of how grandparents act to grandkids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, also we're setting people up for the fall in this scene. Not only literally in this scene, but I'm just saying for this whole kind of section to the end, we're setting us up for a fall. And also, fun fact: do you notice that Bob was arguing with Phoebe's mom?
Yes.
I never noticed that until rewatching it here. They're arguing. And again, I love the visual cues we get here with our younger characters. The whole Phoebe and Helga relation dynamic, and Ron. And Sid here. I always thought this thing. I always thought Sid was a few bad episodes away from becoming the next Iggy.
Yeah, but he never quite got to that point.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if he if he either got like a famously bad episode or if he got like a couple more like really unflattering episodes, he could easily be. He would be next. He's next in line to be an Iggy if he ever went south.
But he never did.
Thankfully,
for that.
Again, with all the kids, like how we get to see these little devices going here, where Helga and Phoebe, they have their thing going on.
Rhonda's parents are just completely unattentive.
There's actually some fun world building there because the nurse from the Rhonda Needs Glasses episode is the nanny. They reuse the model, which implies that maybe she used to work as the nanny and then she got fired and now she's working at the school.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I kind of noticed this on the rewatches in that sequence. Helga was the first to notice Arnold on the slide in peril.
Right.
Maybe some kind of fate, kind of some predestined fate going on there. I don't know. And again, this is like making you, as we fell in love with the young couple falling in love, now we're falling in love with this little family. It's like, nothing bad is going to happen before this family. They're all going to be.
It's almost kind of like the episode lulls you into a false sense of security right at the end, right?
Yeah, Bruce is going to take him.
This is such a nice family. This is so good. This is so pleasant. Oh, wait.
The Wayne family is going to take in a nice movie. They're going to go home. They're going to tell Alfred all about the movie. They're just going to say, "Oh, Alfred, you've got to see this movie. You're going to love it." Bark of Zorro. I mean, it's a masterpiece. Let's go tomorrow. Let's go down the alley. Nothing bad happens to you in the alley. We just walk down back and forth. I mean, call Dick Grayson's Aunt Harry. He hasn't been born yet, but just call her.
Oh God.
Anyway. Again, all the laughter aside, now we're in the drama of it all, folks. We're in the and again, this is what I'm talking about. Castellaneta here, man, is where he's delivering here. Where again, he knows this story, and he knows that this story does not have a happy ending. And this is a story he's like, I love that he kind of offers on like we can end the story now. We don't have to go. We don't have to cover this part. But Arnold, he has to hear it. And again, we reenact the scene, but we don't use the same animation. We don't use the same. It doesn't take away from Parents' Day, but it's still a new level of sadness.
Well, like I said, it's a new level because, as I keep repeating, we know about the motivation behind them leaving so much more in this episode. There's so much more weight behind the decision.
Oh yeah, and again, like this moment here, we kind of pan back and see Arnold in the crib. It's like it's knowing that we don't want to leave him. That's the whole reason we moved here, so we never have to leave him or worry about him being away from him. I love that they have a pathological fear of being away from Arnold, hence like the freak out on the playground.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I love that. Just this scene's a beautiful kind of tapestry of sadness and complexity, Tiki, where you have, Arnold with Pookie behind him, and kind of Phil sad in the chair reading the journal. So it's a great kind of shot of like, oh yeah, I mean these characters are fun, but we hit some kind of sad buttons here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and Dragon, I won't lie. When I rewatched this episode today, I did shed a couple tears. It gets you in the end, man. It hits you in the feels, especially at the very end where we see the same scene from Parents' Day of them leaving and Arnold's waving goodbye. And
folks, as sad as things have gotten this episode, as sad and with moments of humor and moments of just kind of fun and romanticism at the same time, we've had those things. We do end on a really hopeful, exciting note that we'd have to wait.
Especially more hopeful than exciting because we know now that it's actually getting resolved, Dragon.
Yes, but even back then, I was like, oh God, it's so hopeful and exciting. I want to see, I'm dying to see what's going to happen. Hey, I love that Arnold thanks him for telling the story. They're tuckered out there because they've been up the whole day, kind of dreading the story and going through it. Now we have the big revelation again, folks. This was the big promo right here. This scene right here.
You could basically just play this scene as a trailer for the Jungle movie.
Well, the moment you see him look down at the book, like from his POV, that's the promo right there. Map reveal. That's it. But again, I love how triumphant the score gets here too. And again, the score throughout, we kind of glazed over. But again, Jim Lang's score, like we used the parents, the parents theme when Arnold was born, and we used a bit of the happy-go-lucky, like the da 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 da. So it's a thing of beauty, folks. And 17 years later, we're finally going to see what follows this.
Yep. Oh yeah. All right, so I guess that is it. So final thoughts then, Dragon?
Final thoughts, this still holds up. It's great. It's a lot of good backstory. It's it's in the tomes of Hey Arnold. It's in the tomes of like all the great stories that we've seen unfold in Hey Arnold. And again, it's the reason we leave an episode like this, a special like this. You kind of technically it's a two-parter. It just plays better as like the whole hour thing. The whole 45. How do we want to break that down? Boys, it plays better as a whole special than 2 episodes. But it there's a reason we don't lump this in with the top 10s because it's too easy to be like among the ranks of like it's probably this along with this Parents' Day, Arnold's Christmas, and I'm trying to think. There's another one. Pigeon Man, probably Pigeon. Well, no, Pigeon Man.
It's funny you mentioned that, Dragon, because I don't know if you watched the Channel Awesome video that came out today of the top 5 Hey Arnold episodes, but basically it was kind of like all the specials, like we mentioned. It was like Christmas. I don't know if Parents' Day was on here, but this was number 1, and I was like, well, that's not fair. You know what I mean? It's like a 40-minute event. Like, of course it's going to be number 1. I don't know.
But again, Tiki, I think it goes to show
Pigeon Man was just an honorable mention. I'm sorry, Dragon. I need to just vent on that a little bit.
Are you kidding me? It was an honorable mention?
like, to be fair, Walter said, like, yeah, this was like a close number 6. Like, if this was a top 6 and not a top 5, Pension Man would be up there. But
Yeah, and that's because they lumped in the specials. That's why.
that's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's why we don't lump in the specials.
Yeah, because it's unfair. It's like, of course it's going to be on there. It's like, you know, it's. Let's see, where was I? Was I going somewhere with this? T, I'm sorry. Were you saying something before that, or you interrupted with the whole the Walter thing?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see, where was where was I? So yeah, it's, you know, it's a great among the great episodes. You get Arnold's Christmas, you got Journal, and you got Parents' Day, and again they are instantly they're the go-tos for Hey Arnold episodes. They are instantly the the go-to. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I got it. I'm sorry. I was drifting off there. I got what I'm saying. I was basically, again, you see what we have here with the Journal. It's basically them having a bit of a plan. They have a plan of, like, we're going to build up the big movie we're really passionate about telling, the thing we've always wanted to see kind of brought to the big screen. And, we've even seen what they've done, kind of last minute, kind of like, kind of scrambling for a few months with the Arnold movie, which, again, has its moments and at least has a cinematic quality to it. But again, this just kind of shows the elbow grease of just of kind of high caliber storytelling and kind of elbow grease in the world they've built in respect for the characters they've created. And again, this is just the opening act of the big story they want to tell. So if this doesn't get you hyped for Jungle Movie, I don't know what is. But even alone, after all these years, this is all we've had to cling on to. I think it still is very serviceable. I mean, again, if you never saw an ending, it'd be like you can only, as a finale, it leaves you as hoping for the best, and that'll just with that hope, which it directs you to at the very end with that nap reveal. I think it's still very satisfying as is. It still holds up to this day.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's about it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back probably sometime early next week or late this week to talk about the Jungle Movie. So very excited there. And in the meantime, see you later. Don't really have a stinger for this one. Such a serious episode. I don't really want to ruin the mood.